Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
Alrighty, it is Coffee Ann time here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us on Thursday morning. It's September 21st. I'm Joe Callahan. Across the table from me, Attorney Bob Lauder. How are you, Bob?
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you with us. We're expecting Sue Tessier-McKenzie from the call to be joining us. And a little later on, we'll have at least one, maybe a couple of representatives from the Woonsocket Police Department. Maybe Aspen, the dog, will come.
Oh, that would be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. What's always fun...
Now, you do know the routine with the police, right?
Name, rank, serial number.
That's just about it. Okay.
Okay.
No confessions.
No.
Right.
And never say where you were. Anyway, the fun thing that Bob likes to do when he goes on vacation, he likes to send back postcards from where he's been, and we received.
Sort of brag.
We got a very nice postcard from Bob yesterday in the mail. The funny thing is, though, Bob sent it from France on August 25th. Okay, we received it on September 20th.
Hey.
Say the U.S. Post Office is slow.
That's right.
Who is that guy?
That's Dave Richards right over there.
Oh, okay.
And Bob likes to play this game of, I want to beat the post office. So he sends out the cards.
So he
and then
goes on and gets the biggest stick he
and
can.
then it's a race to see who makes it back to Woonsocket first. And it's usually him. It is usually him. So good job, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Bob, question for you. I'm sure you've heard about it. So this man that was killed at Gillette Stadium,
Yes.
that passed away there, looks like he got into the fight. Mm-hmm. Don't know who started this. I've heard both sides that have started this fight, but now preliminary autopsy says that the punch was not responsible for the death. He had a preliminary something.
All right.
Okay. So the question for you is, the man that, and there's video of him being punched, and they can tell who the person is that punched him.
Great. Good.
Does this lessen what charges could be brought against that guy if they can prove that the punch did not kill this man at Gillette Stadium?
Well, I think you're going to have a twofold. First of all, it's assault and battery. Definitely.
No matter what. Okay.
Right. But then it's going to be, it may not have caused it, but did it precipitate it? Did it in some way aggravate it?
Well, that's what they're looking at, and they think so.
For example, the guy has an aneurysm in his chest. Mm-hmm. It's been there for years. It hasn't ever bothered him. But getting punched in the chest results in the aneurysm bursting. Now, is that going to be part of the factor? And if it is, then do you have involuntary manslaughter or something along those lines? Or murder in less than a first degree? Mm-hmm. I'm not a criminal lawyer. I don't do this kind of stuff, so I'm not sure. But I'm glad they were able to locate who it was, because that was, I think it was the cameras everywhere. I mean, you can, I don't know how some people can consider being professional criminals nowadays, because you can photographed everywhere, doorbells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue Tessier-McKenzie has joined us here at the coffee table. Hi there, Sue.
Good morning.
What a great outfit.
Thank you.
She looks like a leopard.
With a little sass.
That's right. So, yeah, you heard about the person died, the man from New Hampshire, and it's just when you get to that point, you're not thinking about cameras, Bob. You probably had quite a few of the adult beverages, and then things get out of hand, and you're not thinking, oh yeah, someone's going to film me.
Well, I can understand this if you're gathered around the dining room table on Thanksgiving and you're talking politics. Then there's an opportunity to really lay into your brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. But at a football game and the game is all over, come on, suck it up.
The game hasn't ended yet, and they were in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
But all it takes is for one guy to say, "Oh, that Mac Jones, he really inhales deeply." I'm not going to use the right word. And then the other person goes, "Hey, that's my favorite player." You know how guys are.
Right.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Apparently, Bob would not do that.
Well, Bob
Bob
doesn't know his players.
At the game.
At the game.
If he had heard that, he wouldn't know who Mac Jones is.
Yep.
And he goes, "Well, if that's what you
Even
think, okay,
I know
fine."
that.
He's the quarterback, Bob. He's,
Oh, okay.
all right.
Brady's not there anymore, right?
No, he has retired.
Okay.
And have you heard the ridiculous rumors that he's going to come back and go play for the New York Jets because Aaron Rodgers is out for the year?
I didn't hear that one.
I heard that one yesterday. I'm like, oh, come
Good
on.
Lord.
Oh,
Well, he
please.
can't now.
I know
There's
he
rules about that.
because he's part
Right.
ownership of another team. So
Okay.
it's just, it would be
Are the
really difficult.
Are the New York Jets even worthy of somebody with Brady's caliber?
Well, in our opinion, no.
That would be a
In
subjective
their
answer.
opinion, yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anyway, are we joined by our special guest on the phone,
Our
Dave?
special guest is awaiting us on the phone. Let's bring in Dr. Bob Billington, the president of the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council, on the phone with us right here on our show.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank-
Thanks for letting me on.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Well,
And,
Bob, Bob and I were together last night at a wonderful event down in Central Falls, and I said, we've got to get Bob on just to speak briefly about it. I came back with so much swag. It was really, you have this wonderful burlap bag. I should bring it up here so everybody can see it. And it's inside, and this is a beautiful small burlap bag.
That's
Take a look at that, Sue.
Perfect size.
Perfect
I wish I
size.
would have been there, but
There you go. It says Rhode Island's Blackstone Valley on one side, and the other side, it's got a
That's
beautiful
adorable.
plastic pouch for your passport.
that's adorable.
It is, isn't it? And inside, all kinds of nice reading materials and your guide to International Food Trail throughout the Blackstone Valley. Bob, you made a nice little speech last night. You have the numbers. I don't recall the numbers precisely,
Sure.
but there are hundreds of countries in the world, right? And cultures.
Yeah.
And with each country seems to go a certain culture. And how many of them did you say are represented by restaurants in the
Well-
Blackstone Valley?
Sure. Well, there's 197 countries.
Uh-huh.
Some people say 196. But I guess it changes from time to time. But that encompasses the entire globe.
Yeah,
And
I get
here
it.
in Blackstone Valley, 40 of those countries are represented. So that's a really high percentage of the world that has found their way to the Blackstone Valley.
What's
have
that? What's
brought
that
their-
number again for the Blackstone Valley?
Well, there are 40 different
40 of them.
countries here. Yeah, 40 of almost 200 countries in the world that have found their way to the Blackstone Valley, have come with their foodways. They may have come here to work in some other avenue, but they decided to open up restaurants. So you can really sample the world here, sample the internationalness of the world. And a year or so ago, and the reason we're doing this is a year or so ago, we had asked an international person, a consultant that helps regions and districts around the world. And I've been following his work for years. We finally got him here, and when he looked around and noticed what we had, we said, nobody is doing an international food trail.
Okay.
We're all doing a wine trail
Right.
or an ice cream trail or a brewery trail, which are fabulous, and we do the same thing. But this one here really represents all of our American restaurants, our international restaurants of 40 different countries. So we're excited to focus on that and promote that. And our thinking is, you can come for a meal. Everybody has to eat, and if we can get it right, they'll come here and then stay for the story, because we have an amazing story that most people don't know. We've been trying for decades now, and you've helped us through those decades trying to get the word out. And this year, at least, we're going to focus on food as a way to bring people here, and hopefully they visit everything from the Museum of Work and Culture to Autumn Fest to St. Anne's, and et cetera, et cetera. et
In
cetera.
Krakow Deli.
Yeah, Krakow Deli.
They take care of
Yeah.
Poland.
Yes.
Bob,
So
we're showing on the TV. We're showing a picture that we snapped last night of you and most of the staff that was
Oh.
available for the photo. With apologies to Patty McAlpine, who was blinking when we took the picture. I'm sorry.
That's normally me. I'm the one that blinks.
No, you
but
look
Patty's-
fantastic right there. I'll tell you.
well,
So the whole
unusual.
group is there because I know you honored them for their work in putting this together, and also apologies to James because the projector is washing out his face, but that's okay too.
He looks like a ghost.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
one of the reasons we wanted to point out that picture to people who are listening on the radio is that one of the members of staff that you have in that photograph, right down in front on the right-hand side, wearing the funny hat that says, "Hi, my name is Amanda," is Amanda Mograss, who is very, very special in our hearts right now because she's about to embark on a great adventure right after Autumn Fest. And she'll be performing on stage during Autumn Fest too, right, Joe?
Yeah, she will.
As part of the entertainment with the band,
Platinum Thrill.
Platinum Thrill,
That's the name
right?
of her band.
And we'll have her on the air and on the TV and everything. But she's going to go to big time TV out in California, and it's a remarkable thing that a local lady is going to get a chance to go out there and audition for the judges for the American
right.
Idol program, right?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, and of course we learned about it last week. She just she's an amazing singer, and
And she sings at the Polar Express. It's 20 degrees outside. She's got a runny nose, and she's out there selling, rocking around the Christmas tree to all the
yeah.
kiddies.
Yeah, she sung every Christmas song available in Woonsocket outside. But so we're very excited for her. We're hoping that, of course, she makes it to the point where she gets to
Compete
be
on
on
the air.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and I'm pretty sure she will. I mean, but her talent is amazing, and her personality is amazing.
It
So
certainly is.
It's going to be a fun ride.
It will. And I want to also direct people's attention to something else. Joe, you want to take that down for a second here while I switch over to another photograph. I want to also point out the support that we had last night from a group that's just entered the Blackstone Valley, and they impressed me greatly with their spirit and their charm, and that's the folks from Bank Newport that just opened up at Wake Robin across from the Lincoln Mall, and they brought their whole staff up here, and they had bags and bags of swag. I walked away feeling like a bandit, like a pig. I mean, I took one of everything on the table, including the little piggy bank and stuff like that, but it was nice of them to be there, and they were our sponsors for the evening and helped us support the entire effort, right?
Yeah, they're great. I'm looking forward to going to the new branch. I mean, we're very, very supportive that there are people, that set up business here in Blackstone Valley and do try to generally make a difference. And that's a new sponsor for us. We appreciated them being there, and they're going to stay here. They're going to stay with us.
Now, Bob, I'm sorry we have to rush along so much, but Bob Larder, who's on our panel this morning, also along with Sue Tessier McKenzie from The Call, and of course Joe and myself,
Hey, Susie.
Bob
Good morning.
immediately requested the International Food Trail catalog of all the different possible restaurants, and he's tearing off pieces of paper, making bookmarks. I don't think I'm going to get it back because he's planning on doing it. Where can people get these things? Can we have some of these shipped up to the radio station so folks in Woonsocket can drop by
Sure.
and pick them up?
Yeah, everyone is going to be on the road now distributing these. And, of course, you can get it at tourblackstone.com/food trail. So you
Sure.
can get it online. But, we will definitely get them up. All of the restaurants will have them. We're going to do our best to – I mean, we have 500 restaurants here in the 10 towns that we represent here in Rhode Island, and all of them deserve to be promoted. So this is kind of class one, wave one, team one, and then we're just going to keep plowing through until everyone is promoted more than they have been in the past. Food has always been something that we felt has been an important asset, a resource for the Valley, and we want to make it even more important.
Very good. Bob Billington, thanks for being with us. We got to get you on the show more often. It's always interesting. You bring us interesting things to think about and to do. And I'll let you get back to your day's work because I know that even yesterday you spent the day in Woonsocket preparing for Polar Express, which is coming up.
Yeah.
Are there any seats
all day
left on
tomorrow.
that train?
There are some days, yes. There's seats left. Our friends, we always try to encourage, please don't wait to the last minute.
No.
We hate ourselves when someone says, "Are there any seats left?" and we can't get in. We
Right,
don't like that.
because the
So
train's
we've
only
gotta-
available on weekends, and so we're only
Yeah.
running this out on weekends because, let's face it, P&W is an active freight line. So to have these passenger trains on the line, that's something. And so it's only available certain times when they're not hauling the freight. And so we just can't just say, oh, we'll just run another train for you. And that's not how it's going to work. And it's really, and it's a very big sought-after ticket. And having been there, filling in for my pal Bobby Phillips as the the doorman, I see the smiles on people's faces, and I know that this is a great contribution to the lives of the people of the Blackstone Valley. I congratulate you and the Tourism Council for doing this every year and bringing such great pride to the city of Woonsocket by using our train station here in our city and bringing the Polar Express to here. So thanks so much, Bob.
Well, thank you, Dave. And, for those new this year, and we're so happy to be able to do it, we are running an October 21 and an October 28 train trip, basic historical trip, narrative along the way. From Woonsocket to Worcester, from Worcester to Putnam, Connecticut, and then Putnam back to Worcester,
Right.
and then back to Woonsocket. For those that just want a great train ride, same website, tourblackstone.com, and we've got tickets.
And likely to see a lot of nice color along the way, too, I'm sure, at that time of the year.
Yeah,
And-
we like to call it the Tunnel of Color, so I'm going to enjoy it.
And Pirates
Thank
on the
you.
Blackstone's been going well down in Central Falls, right?
Well, yeah, we lost our first two Saturdays.
Well,
because of
okay,
high
yeah,
water.
weather, yeah.
Yeah. But we're on this weekend. Hopefully the rain is not bad, but
Depends
we
on which
can't develop
meteorologist you talk to. Some are calling for over an inch. Some are calling for, not so much.
Yeah, we're hoping it's not.
There's
so
a lot
much
of division
rain,
in
so
the
we
weather house about this forecast for the Saturday.
Mm.
All right, Bob, I'm sorry we
good.
got to rush you off,
Thank
but we'll
you.
talk again real soon,
Thank
okay?
you. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye, Bob. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
Bye.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob Billington from the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council. TourBlackstone.com. You can follow up on your phone or on your computer on anything we talked about this morning. Hey, Joe,
Yes,
you know who I
Dan?
met in the corridor?
Who did you meet?
Woonsocket Police Chief Tom Oates. He'll be coming back into this chair in just a few moments after the break.
Very good. Thank you very much. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up galumpki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first, and he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tessier McKenzie, and we're being joined by Woonsocket Police Chief Thomas Oates.
Good morning,
Hi, Chief.
everybody.
Nice
How
to have
are
you here.
How's everybody today?
I think we're doing all okay.
Good.
Before we talk to the Chief, Sue, it's time for your first message from the Call newspaper, please.
Well, today is September 21st. God only knows where September went. I think yesterday was Labor Day. But anyway, the 21st is the deadline for your voting. So if you go to our website, www.woonsocketcall.com or www.pawtuckettimes.com, it will lead you to the site for the voting, which will pop up as 2nd Street because they're the ones that control it. But there are 5, maybe 6 businesses listed under your favorites. So Best Dynamite, I'll mention that. There'll be 5 names listed. You pick your favorite. Today is the deadline. You can only vote once a day, so hopefully you've been doing it. If you need anything, back issues of the call, please feel free to call my cell phone at 401-487-4136, and I'll do whatever I can to help you.
All right, Sue, very good. And since we have the Chief here, everybody, Chief's on the front page of the Call today.
I didn't see it yet.
He's over here. Congratulations. The police department was reaccredited.
Right.
By who?
For the second time. By,
okay.
by the Rhode Island Police Accreditation Commission, which is the state accreditation commission. What happened is there was one of the first founders was CALEA, which was national accreditation, but that's an expensive process. It's rough over $20,000 to get their accreditation.
That the department has to come up and
Right,
send to them?
exactly, right, exactly. Exactly, where state accreditation is $2,000, and we maintain all the same standards. So a lot of states over the years have gone to this. Rhode Island is one of many states that have formed their own accreditation commissions, which do the same thing as the national accreditation agencies would have done. But yes, the department had an on-site review back May 13th. By 2 of the assessors from Rhode Island Accreditation, and they look back at the past 3 years. They would have gone back from March of 23 back to March of 20, and they spend the whole day with us. It's a 7-8 page report that, if you read the report and it's online. It goes through a whole bunch of different aspects of the department, everything from the amount of traffic tickets we wrote to the arrests to the breakdown of what our personnel is to how many promotions we had and a number of different things. So it's a very extensive report, but very happy and very proud of the men and women of the department that we were. This is reaccreditation for the second time. So it's actually, we were accredited the first time in 17, and then been reaccredited twice.
Great.
How long does the accreditation last?
It lasts for a 3-year period.
It's a 3-year period. Okay.
And during that, what you have to keep in mind and I made mention in the article, sometimes getting accredited at the beginning is very difficult for a lot of departments. In fact, they struggled before I got here. I understand they tried for 4 or 5 years, even trying national accreditation and that. You have to make it a priority. We made it a priority when I got here, and within 9 months got accredited. But also the reaccreditation, because after you get your first accreditation, you basically showed the people what your policies are, what your procedures are going to be, what your best practices are going to be. But then after that 3-year review, they go back and they say, let's see if you actually did what you said you were going to do. And that's what they do. And they came in on this last one on the 13th, and these 2 assessors spent the entire day, maybe almost 12 hours, with some of my people and say, all right, let me see a pursuit policy. Let me see a pursuit report. Let me see an arrest report. And they review all the reports to see that they match up to what the policies are.
What benefit does accreditation bring to the Woonsocket Police Department?
Well, it shows the people of the city in that we're operating at a high standards, that our officers are highly trained, and we're following the best practices in law enforcement throughout the country. And this audit that's done, basically we're being audited like a company would be audited by 2 outside people who have no stake in the game, who review just the way we are operating and give the seal of approval on that. Financially, my understanding is, because we're accredited, I know it's actually true, is that the trust, which insures cities and towns, Because we're accredited, our deductible is $5,000. If you're not accredited, it's $50,000.
Ooh,
That's an incentive
Okay.
right there.
yes.
Right? And it's accountability, too.
Right, exactly. It's accountability, it's transparency. The fact that we've got outside people that are coming in and reviewing everything we've done. I really would ask people to take the time to go look at this online. It has a lot of information in it. For example, just a snapshot. I mean, I know one of the complaints that we get. Normally, I get a gentleman that calls from Park Avenue. Every time I'm here, as far as speeding goes, and this report breaks down the fact that we actually, and I'm just trying to get to the right location here, but it breaks down actually the amount of traffic citations and warnings we gave in 20, 21, and 22, and we gave between warnings and citations in 20 over just under 3,000, just over 3,000 in 21, and just over 3,000 in 22. But it gives all this information, and it gives a breakdown actually on the occupants that we stopped, what their race is, and that, because we monitor that too to make sure that our officers are not profiling people, and that we're doing everything the way that we need to do.
Wow. How can we find a copy of that
It's
online?
linked right to, if you go to the police department city website, there's a link on that that'll take you right to it, but I'll be more than happy to give you this.
Nope, that's fine. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Thanks.
You sure, Bob? It's technology, you know.
I have
I
a
know,
very
I'm-
good
I'm-
assistant who can do this
Oh,
for
good
me.
assistant. All right, there
You know,
you go.
you mentioned technology, and I have to laugh because as he's looking through that book, and Dave thought he was choosing restaurant for himself, I'm thinking, just take a picture of it, and then you'll have it. Back to technology.
He's gonna say I don't have my camera with me.
Right?
Just about. Hey, you know, I live very quietly in my own little world
I know
in
you
the
do,
past.
Bob. It works well for you.
Wait till you get to my commercials today.
Now, should we ask the chief the question I asked you
Sure.
ahead of time? All right, we did. Yeah, so, Chief, we don't ask this to be a
I was
going
gonna
to
say, is this a
anything
setup?
Like, no, it's
Right?
not a
Well,
I
setup.
didn't know the answer, so
Okay,
you're
well,
safe.
I may not either.
If Bob and I are in a car and Bob's driving, that's
Yeah.
important, and Bob runs a stop sign, gets pulled over.
Yeah.
They're talking to him. Next thing you know, there's a knock on my side of the car from an officer. They're asking for my identification. Well, I haven't done anything. I'm just sitting in the car. Do I have to produce my ID because I'm in the car when a traffic violation took place?
Technically, you do not, but most time we would ask, and most people would comply. Depending on the circumstances, there may be, that's not a clear-cut answer, is because the stop may have been more than a stop sign, and then the officer may look at you and said, I'm not sure if that's Joe or not, and does Joe have a warrant, or does he not have a warrant, or we're looking for him. So it's a question, but we need to have probable cause or a reason to ask people for their identification. But the operator is actually even, and it's been tested, and we've run into crazy people that do that. A lot of these, especially these fringe groups, and that if you read the statute on it, it just says that they need to produce it. So we've had people who will hold it up on the window of the car, and so that
Instead of giving it to you?
instead of giving it to us, so that they can copy the information. It gets the same result. They're
Yeah.
getting the ticket, but so I don't know why they do that. And that's very infrequent. But
Does that vary from state to state or town to town? On
in Rhode Island, it's-
producing the
I don't know about other states, but I know what it is in Rhode Island, how they do it. There's a lot of we in Rhode Island too offer, and it wasn't until years ago, but if you're going to be given a traffic violation, you're asked to sign for it. That was something that was done on the West Coast years ago before
Yeah.
it was done on the East Coast, and so if you can refuse to sign it, which is still then I just write on the ticket, refuse to sign, and then hand you the ticket. But that was something that had come. The legislature is good sometimes at finding things that we need to do when we don't really need to do them.
Okay. We're going to take a
Good
break.
answer.
Yeah, very good answer. We're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. So before we do, though, and take a look at the forecast, Sue, it's time for a second quickie message from the Call newspaper, please.
Okay. Once again, last day to vote. You need anything, you can call me at 487-4136. Our circulation department, 767-8522. building's still under construction, but we are more than happy to help you. Christina is still handling classifieds and legals and obituaries. So, but if you need anything and you want to get to her immediately, call me and I will reach right out to her. Again, 487-4136.
Very good, Sue. Thanks. More of the Coffee and program coming your way. We've got a message to get to as well. Right now it's time for a look at the forecast, being brought to you by Unbound.org.
Sunny skies today with a high of 72 and a breeze from the northeast. Tonight, patchy fog after 5 a.m., mostly clear, overnight low of 49 degrees. Friday's weather mostly sunny and 72. Saturday, a 60% chance of showers likely, mainly in the afternoon. Rain could be heavy at times. Cloudy skies, high of 63 Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy skies, a high of 67 and a 50% chance of rain. Monday, mostly sunny and 70. Tuesday, partly sunny and 67. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny and 68.
Currently outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies. We have 57 degrees. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change the world, and it will change your own at unbound.org.
When you visit the Menard Locature Funeral Home's website, you'll find a wealth of important information, including frequently asked questions about the various options of pre-planning funeral etiquette, visitation, personal help to help the family, and many others. Remember, pre-planning is safe and helpful to family members who may be overwhelmed with details and responsibilities. It also assures that the deceased's final wishes are met. Their website will also feature several photos of their two beautiful and classic funeral homes at 127 Carrington Avenue, Woonsocket, and 71 Central Street, Manville. You'll be treated with courtesy and understanding. Their main phone number is 762-1825. Menard Locature Funeral Homes.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dave Richards, and I want to remind you about something coming up Friday night, an event that I think you'll all want to help with. Well, back in January of 2020, Ron McKenzie, the husband of one of my dear friends, Sue Tessier McKenzie, suffered cardiac arrest right in the middle of the night while he was sleeping. He was DOA at Landmark, but they did manage to get a pulse back, fortunately. But unfortunately, 50 minutes had passed and he was left at a global anoxic brain injury. This, of course, is brain damage, folks. 6 months in the hospital followed in facilities, but due to COVID, he was never allowed to go to the brain injury rehab facility for care. Fast forward 3 years, he's finally accepted to a facility specializing in brain injury, but unfortunately the insurance company has denied his admittance due to the amount of time that has passed, which wasn't his fault. So it's a beer and dynamite fundraiser with lots of fun and friendship. That's Friday night, September 22nd, at the Italian Workingmen's Club in Woonsocket. In addition to the dinner, there's also going to be a raffle, auction, and a local band has even volunteered to put in some entertainment for the evening, so bring your dancing shoes. Money raised will go to the cost of getting Ron to the Apex Brain Center in North Carolina. Please help Sue and Ron and their family in this very special need. Ron's a swell guy, and he's worked ever so hard to fight back from this brain injury, but now he needs professional help. The event is at the Italian Workingmen's Club, 947 Diamond Hill Road in Woonsocket, Friday night, September 22nd, from 5 to 9 p.m., and tickets are at the door for $20.
Okay, Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callan here, along with Woonsocket Police Chief Thomas Oates, Sue Tessier McKenzie's here, and Bob Lauder. And it's time for your first message from your law office, please, Bob.
Thank you. Good morning. Usually in my commercial messages, I speak about recent decisions of the Rhode Island Supreme Court and how those decisions may influence our lives. Today, I'd like to retreat into the distant and not so distant past, depending on your reference of age, to two cases. The first case is the case of Nathan T. Very versus the School Committee of the City of Woonsocket, and dates back nearly 150 years. It also illustrates that disputes between the City Council and the School Committee are nothing new. The case arose when the Town Council appointed Nathan Very to serve as Superintendent of Schools, and residents of Woonsocket may recall that the street leading onto Harris Avenue next to St. Michael's Ukrainian Orthodox Church is also named Very Street. After the City Council appointed Mr. Very, the School Committee appointed a Mr. White to serve as superintendent. Rather than settling the dispute by clapping erasers or just duking it out behind the administration building, the parties resorted to formal litigation. The state Supreme Court decided in favor of the Town Council. It ruled that the act which incorporated the town of Woonsocket, not the city in 1889, but rather the town in 1878, provided that the town would elect the officers. However, in the past, the town had failed to elect the superintendent and had fallen to the school committee. In the present case, although the election was not by the town council, was done by the town council and not by a general town electorate at a town meeting, the election was deemed valid, and Mr. Very became the superintendent of schools, which you probably guessed, for the street was named after him. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thank you. And it's good timing that the police chief is here. And it goes with the note that was called in. And it's all about the incidents down at Kennedy Plaza, because the chief was a Providence police officer for a number of years. The note just says, I'm tired of the parents being the blame for not raising their kids in a peaceful way. These kids are punks, should know the reason between right and wrong. Instead, they turn to uncontrolled anger. Part of growing up? I don't think so. Hatred and violence occurs, but hey, it's prevalent everywhere. Too many conflictions with different nationalities. What a pity. How many times when you were down there were you called to Kennedy Plaza, Chief, to break up something?
It always was and always will be a big problem until they make some changes. The problem is that's the focal point where different people from different parts of the city come in the morning to get their buses to take them to the different parts of the city. You may have kids that are South Providence kids that have to go to Kennedy Plaza to get to the east side for a school that they're going to, or vice versa. So at 3 to 2:30 to 3 in the afternoon, we always put numerous officers down there, because now these groups, and some of them are gang members, some of them are just people with neighborhood disputes or rivalries between schools. But when you dump 500 to 1,000 people between 15 and 18 years old in a quarter-mile square block, there's going to be problems. I'm not condoning it. I mean, but we had over the years some serious incidents with stabbings, and I don't really recall a shooting down there, but some people, students hurt, and a lot of it's territorial, and a lot of it's different, for a lot of different reasons. But if you're bringing all those people together, you certainly need to have the supervision there. And part of the issue, and I heard just briefly, and Mayor Smiley's correct, is the school administration needs to take some steps into being there too, because they certainly know their students, and they know the people, and so forth and so on. Because a lot of, as a police officer, you get sent down there, and these kids are coming from all these different schools all over the place. Most of the police officers don't have any intimate knowledge of any of them or whatever it is. And surprisingly, some kids will listen to people from the school administration that they know, and the school administration knows them very well. Hey, that's Tommy Oates. Tommy, I'm watching you. Behave yourself. Get on your own bus and go home. But it's a problem.
And from what I heard earlier was, the Providence Police and the school system, and then they said, and RIPTA all have to get together to try to solve this issue. Is RIPTA really part of the problem?
Well, it's RIPTA in the way that they're talking about, I'd assume, the routing, and that's what it is where the routing is. And would it make more sense to take, the people that are coming from, how many people are coming from the east side actually want to go back to Washington Park, then why are we taking them into Kennedy
Downtown.
Plaza and not taking them to Washington Park and avoid all of that problem? So that's a complicated issue that's been around for a long time. But it's one of those issues that, you know, if you're a young kid too, and we saw it a lot of times down there, there's kids that don't want to have anything to do with that type violence, and that, you know, they're trying to get to school, they're trying to get home, or trying to even get home to get to a job or do something else. And unfortunately, in like most situations, there's probably 1,000 kids down there, but there's probably 10 or 15 that are the main problem.
And very small numbers.
Exactly.
Plus, you got all the people that are just there.
Oh yeah, I mean that's it. And I mean, Kennedy Plaza has been. They just did a drug sweep in there and arrested 26 people. I talked to Oscar Perez, the chief, who I know. If they let it go on, they probably could have arrested another 25 people. It's just through statewide. It's known. You know, that's the hub. Even if you're leaving Woonsocket going to Providence, you're going to get dropped in Kennedy Plaza. You're going to get dropped in Kennedy Plaza, and then your bus routes out from there. So it's a hot spot for a number of different reasons, and there's been a number of different initiatives by the police department to try and do it. And it's the big issue, the argument. You know, they are talking about moving it. Joe Paolino is obviously a big supporter of moving it out of that district and moving it more towards where the train station is. So I haven't followed it that closely, but it
Doesn't affect you anymore.
No. So it's Oscar's problem, and I feel bad for Oscar. Oscar's a great guy.
Do you have a question there, Bob? You look.
I was just
like you're puzzled.
I was puzzled about how the school operates the transit system. In Woonsocket, we have school buses which take kids to the various schools. In Providence, they don't have that, or
They don't have enough buses. So RIPTA contracts with the school department to run certain routes at certain times, and that's just the way that they have to. That's just the way that they operate. A lot of most of the busing that's done in Providence is done for grammar schools and middle schools. More of the high schools are all. They get RIPTA bus passes, and they're allowed. RIPTA is the one that does the transportation for them.
okay. Well, Providence is a lot larger community geographically than Woonsocket.
There's 55. There's 55 schools in Woonsocket. I mean, in Providence, so 56.
Wow.
So, and that's everything from high school to middle school to grammar school to, and some of them are, are quasi, city or charter schools. So it's the school system and the education system in Providence is a big system. Not that it's not Woonsocket.
I can't make comparison then.
Our high school, I believe this year is up to over 6, and someone will say that I got it wrong, but I think it's over 1,600 students in the high school.
No, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and kudos, by the way, to the Woonsocket Police on the first or second day of school. We had the lockdown, and somehow you found out that the perpetrator was in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, what is going on?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
missed
and,
that.
this is the problem.
Oh, yeah.
This is So someone had posted a Snapchat picture of someone with a weapon, saying that they were coming to school, and they were specific that they were going to shoot up the high school. And as it turned, that someone it took a life of its own because someone had mentioned that they knew who the person was, so it was something that was local and maybe not just an internet hoax. But as it worked out, there was some misinformation, and it turned out came from a chat out of Vancouver, I believe is what it was. But it takes all that time and the resources that we had that day, because it was directed right at the high school. It's one of the balancing things we do. We had another incident where it was a Snapchat posting last week. It was very generic. The school initially made a decision to hold some students out. We got there and said, no, get them in the school. They continue with the school day, and we evaluated it right away. We pushed that information to the State Fusion Center, which is the center point for everybody. And as we were, unfortunately, that day, like the first one that got it, by the time we had called it into the Fusion Center, there had been, 15 or 20 other schools, but regionally, that had the same Snapchat. It was generic. But, it's upsetting to, a lot of the teachers and the faculty. And we have to vet each one and make the determination for the level of threat. And even in that one that we didn't think it was a threat. We had at that time a response, and we kept 3 or 4 officers extra in that school until we really evaluated it all to make sure that there was nothing that was of concern for that.
Wow.
I was amazed at how fast it takes when it's determined that it is a man in Washington, and how, okay, someone in Woonsocket, I don't know if you call or it's just done by computer, to get out to the state of Washington to get a hold of the right authorities out there and have them get out to get to the person.
Yeah, we
And
did.
It's so quick.
No, we did that day, and that was it. And our dispatch people did a great job running down the information that was being fed to them and making calls out to those areas. And our agency works the same way. If someone called us and said, "Hey, we've got this, we need you to check it right away," they did that for us. So law enforcement works well together.
That's fantastic.
Are you making fun of me about not being technically up to date? Okay, Snapchat.
It's a social media thing.
I'd be down at the Western Union office sending in my.
Telegraphs. Good luck finding a Western Union office, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, it's time for a second message from your law office, and then we'll take another break here on the Coffee and program.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second case I'd like to discuss with you, involving the city of Woonsocket, goes back to a couple of months after I was born, so you can determine at your peril whether or not it's ancient. The case involves citizens who challenged the proposed sale of 4 acres of land known as the Poor Farm and located in Fairmount to an individual for the sum of $4,000. The public had not been given advance notice of the sale, and the citizens believed that the value of the real estate to be twice the price of the sale. The case is known as Ravenel versus the City of Woonsocket, and the issue was whether or not an act of the state legislature granted to the City Council the authority to sell. Upon evaluation, it appeared that the only limitation on such action of the sale by the City Council was whether or not there was evidence that the land had been originally acquired by a gift or a devise or was part of a charitable trust, and there was no such evidence. The court went on to examine whether or not the act of the General Assembly under which the Council proceeded was in fact constitutionally valid. The court ruled that the issue had not been raised in the original litigation, and it was well settled in Rhode Island that the court would not pass upon the constitutionality of an act of the General Assembly unless that matter was brought in question upon the record of the case with clarity and particularity. General laws of the state of Rhode Island were completely revised in 1956, and there are new laws which regulate the actions of community councils and which impose requirements of notice of actions to be taken. Please do not infer that should these same facts be presented to the state Supreme Court today, that the decision would be the same as that issued in August of 1947. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thanks. Coffee and program will continue. Please stick around.
Hi, I'm Kathleen LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
Hi, everybody. This is Bill Schneck with the Autumn Fest Steering Committee. Autumn Fest 2023 is almost here, and I am very excited to announce that the 2023 Autumn Fest raffle calendars are now available here at this radio station, WOON AM and FM radio, 985 Park Avenue. The Autumn Fest raffle calendars are still $10 each, and this year the total prize value is over $12,000, our highest ever. During the month of November, a drawing will be held every day. If your name is drawn and you win that day, your name will go back into the daily drawing so you could have multiple chances to win. The calendars will also be available to purchase during our 45th Autumn Fest celebration being held this Columbus Day weekend, October 7th, 8th, and 9th at World War II Veterans Memorial Park on Social Street here in Woonsocket. Calendars will also be available with any members of the Autumn Fest Steering Committee. All proceeds from the sale of the Autumn Fest raffle calendars will be used to offset expenses incurred during the Autumn Fest weekend. I look forward to seeing you, your families, and friends this Columbus Day weekend down at Autumn Fest. Thank you for your continued support over the last 45 years.
You can't vote for them if they're not on the ballot. Nominate today at bestoftheblackstonevalley.com.
All right, it's Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tesser McKenzie, and Woonsocket Police Chief Thomas Oates is joining us. And you know what? I just my observation, Chief, of what is working in the city is those flashing yellow lights outside the Stadium Theater, out on Clinton Street, Social Street. I never see anybody running those. Everyone. In the cars
Unfortunately,
seems to
they
stop.
do. Unfortunately, they do once in a
Well,
while.
I'm not seeing it.
But but the visibility is so much better because
It
there are some people who, again, because of the distracted driving or not really paying attention or even in conversation in a car. You know, one of the big points was especially Kennedy Manor was an area that had heavy pedestrian activity with that. So yeah, the visibility of them really brings to the attention of that, and up at the stadium, especially with the kids getting out of school in the afternoon, they activate them there, and this Nora Lippert, they have the ones that are down there too. But again, unfortunately, I don't know how many times I go down Clinton Street, and they're determined to leave Kennedy Manor to go to the Walgreens, but they walk diagonally across all three lanes, and it's just not safe. It's not safe. It's not safe. And the whole idea is, it's a few extra steps, but use the safety of the crosswalk and get across the street and then get down and back. But again, we've preached that to them in the past at community meetings, and not only that, to try and tell them to, but of course some of the older people, they're very set in their ways. We tried saying to them even too, in morning rush hour, that especially, for example, Clinton Street with people trying to get to the schools, and that, the traffic is very heavy from anywhere from that 7:30 to 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So try and wait to go to Walgreens at 10 or in the afternoon. But,
I was going by the one in front of the stadium. This week, I was going by the one at the stadium, and what appeared to be a faculty member at either Beacon or the other school did not push that button. And the visibility, because of sunlight, the way it was hitting, she needs to hit the button.
Yeah, no, and especially
and I'm an aware driver, which is why I saw.
Well, especially there, and you have cars there parked potentially on both sides of the street, and especially when people are picking up children and that. So there are occasions where the driver just doesn't see. See the person.
Exactly.
Well, a couple of days ago, there was a small tie-up on Clinton Street when geese, it was like 20 geese,
there were a million of them.
walking across slowly.
They were in the parking lot by the
They've
library.
stopped traffic on the bypass. They've stopped traffic on Clinton Street, and and there's some people that too. I mean, you don't want them to, obviously to run them over, but there's people who sometimes just stop. You got to edge your car forward. They're not stupid animals.
Yeah,
they
they'll
will.
move
They will
eventually.
move out. Will move out of your way. They will move out of your way. But no, they're out there. That's for sure.
Chief, what's your opinion on, would you like to see speed cameras that other communities have, like Pawtucket and Providence? Would you like to see the speed cameras up here in the school zones?
That's a political decision that I'm not going to touch.
Okay.
Because you can, you can make an argument. Well, you can make an argument. So, the Providence and Pawtucket argument is there is a safety aspect to it because it does reduce the people who speed. I mean, I've seen it myself going through Pawtucket, especially on Powell Road. That area, in fact, it caught my attention because I just had to go to Providence or something last week, and I'm with this person, and they're driving at 20 miles an hour, and I wasn't really paying attention. And I'm behind them, and I'm going slow. I'm saying, why is this person driving so slow? And then I realized, we're in the schools. We're in the school zone. But that's part of the argument with a lot of people is that they don't even know where these schools are, and they come into the school zone. But even with that you can make an argument. I know Providence doesn't write you don't get the ticket unless you're doing 11 over. So you got to be doing 31. You're doing 31 to get the ticket, and it's only during the school hours. So, but that's a decision, like I said, that I know the prior council, when I was getting the flock cameras, which have been very successful. Were adamant about, when I was trying to educate them on what the flock cameras actually did, that they were never intended and would not be readjusted to do speed enforcement.
Okay. tell me, does this come in waves? Because we have a couple of stories now, and it deals with hazing. One, it happened up at allegedly happened up at King Philip High School with the football team, and they were investigating that. And there's another story, Boston College, with the swim and diving teams. So does it, is it secular? Does it kind of, or waves where we have hazing incidents and then it drops off and then it comes back up?
I don't know, to be honest with you, because I mean, some of that, like you say, has happened. I know North Smithfield had a threat of that, or they investigated it 2 or 3 years ago. And from my understanding, nothing ever came out. It was all basically hearsay that someone had heard that had happened, and no one had ever made a complaint. I mean, that's a thing that I think is up to each of the educational institutions, whether it's on the local level and for their own policies to either condone it or not condone it. Most kids will know, especially at the college level, what's going to be accepted and what's not going to be accepted. And if they know that hazing is considered serious by the school that they're in or the institution that they're in, which could result in them dismissal, and there's criminal charges that people can be brought for hazing with a complaint too. So it depends on the level it goes to, but. I don't have the answer for that either. I don't know what spurred it. Maybe it's the beginning of the year, but I mean, could be. Different sports run in the spring too. So I don't know if it's a team thing where it has, but.
But since your time being here as chief, no real issues of that at Woonsocket High School.
I'm not aware of any. That that I can remember since I've been here that it was brought to the attention. And we have some pretty robust athletic programs.
Yeah.
The football team and the track team, and that I haven't heard any problems with that.
All right, great.
Which is a good tribute to the school, the supervisors, and the school administration.
So, Bob, do you have anything for the chief before we keep moving things along here?
Not that I can think of. I like in addition to the flashing lights that you were talking about,
Yeah.
I noticed that in some places where there's stop signs, which are not particularly visible, they've been putting red flashing lights above them.
Yeah.
The one I run into is the one on East School Street, West School Street rather, which runs into
Yeah.
Prospect Street.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because it brings to your attention.
It's a
We
stop
had-
sign.
No, we had a lot of complaints there. But when we get complaints like that, we look at traffic crashes, and there were a lot of. I myself go through that intersection quite a bit, and you have to really be careful. And some people, again, just not familiar with the area, don't really pay attention. But that added visibility, and they're up on Harris at Blackstone too. The four-way stop there, because that has notoriously been a spot for potential crashes. And if you
I
have
know, that's where I got my traffic ticket.
One
one in about 35 years.
One of the most ticketed streets in the city is Harris, and
Ave.
it's one of the most complained streets in the city that there is, because of the thoroughfare from Massachusetts into Woonsocket and going back out. But we probably I think the last time I ran it, I think that was the top street for citations issued in Woonsocket last year.
I don't think people realize that the speed limit's 25 on that road.
It's more than 25.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
It
more
should
than
be
25.
35,
It's more than 20. It's
yeah.
more
I
than
think it's-
25. But I mean, so officers again have discretion. Most officers are not stopping cars unless they're doing 10 or more over the posted speed limit. At least that's what the rule. I mean, other places I know in certain municipalities, I won't say which ones, that's not the case, where it's 5 over and people insinuated a money grab. If you get a ticket in Woonsocket, you're speeding. Okay, that's the bottom line. Because other than that, you're going to get a warning. But I mean, Harris Avenue, I've known, and what a lot of people don't realize, the officer will even say, hey, the speed limit was 30 miles an hour. You were doing 55. I'm going to write you for
35.
For 35, so you pay the less fine. And we actually put the true speed on the ticket in case you decide to. If you'd like to fight it, then we'll explain to the judge
State
what it
troopers
was.
do that too.
Yeah.
No,
You know that
but-
from experience, Sue?
Nah, it's
Haven't
just
had a ticket in many, many, many years.
All right.
And I recently did, and it was because I was trying to merge into the traffic and I wasn't familiar with where I was. And then I realized, oh my God, I can't hit the brake. This guy's behind me. I got to deck it to get in there. So yeah. But he was quite nice.
Well, that's good. All right. Before we got to go, how are things going recruiting-wise?
We're trying to recruit now. We're actually trying to come up with some different ways of recruiting. We're looking to change actually the city personnel code on the way to do it. There's a organization out there called Fit to Serve, which gives agility and written tests several times a year, which is the main component of that, because every police department in the state is struggling with recruiting and retention. In fact, I was with the police chief from Portsmouth yesterday, and they lost 4 officers on a smaller department last year. As a result of that, he went to his city council, and they've given their officers retention bonuses. If you're a police officer in Portsmouth and you sign a contract to stay for the next 2 years, they'll give you $5,000 extra this year and $5,000 extra next year, because that's how bad it is. East Providence has a signing bonus, I believe, is $7,500 if you'd like to leave a police department and go to East Providence. Sign for 7. So it's
cutthroat.
It's nationwide, but it's the topic of the police chiefs. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And in the problem here in Woonsocket, within the next 2 to 3, I've got 2 officers that left for other places within the last couple of months. I've got another officer I know that's potentially going to leave, or 2 before the end of the year, and I've got at least 2 officers that are retiring next year. But once there's a window also that there'll be a whole group that'll be pension eligible, as many as 15 to 20 officers pension eligible in the next 3 to 5 years, and trying to replace that is going to be extremely difficult.
On the ones who are not yet pension eligible, if they leave Woonsocket Police Department to go to East Providence, do their pension credits from Woonsocket add to East Providence so they have their 20 years?
If it's the same pension, so East Providence, I believe, is not in the MERS state system. If you were in the MERS state system here, if I was to go from here, and I'll use say to Gloucester, just to use that as an example, they're in the same state pension system. So if I had already had 4 years here in Woonsocket, I would still be given that credit and then continue my service in Gloucester.
Wow. Okay.
All right, we've run out of time. We thank you very much for listening in. So, Chief Oates, thanks for coming in today.
Nice seeing you, Joe,
Always a
and
pleasure.
you folks too. Have a great day, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, too.
Sue, Tessie McKenzie, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
All right, Bob Ladder.
Thank you for
Thanks for
inviting me.
coming in.
Hope I'm with you again next week.
All right, very good. This is Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do You Remember is coming your way at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. From Exeter, Rhode Island, an Indigenous Veterans Monument was unveiled yesterday at the Rhode Island Veterans Memorial Cemetery. The Boston Globe newspaper is reporting the monument will recognize Indigenous people from tribal nations including the Narragansett, Wampanoag, and other Indian tribes. There's a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and the whole thing happens at the Veterans Memorial Cemetery at Exeter last night. From Exeter, Rhode Island, an Indigenous Veterans Monument was unveiled yesterday at the Rhode Island Veterans Memorial Cemetery. The Boston Globe newspaper is reporting the monument will recognize Indigenous people from tribal nations including the Narragansett, Wampanoag, and other Indian tribes. There's a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and the whole thing happens at the Veterans Memorial Cemetery at Exeter last night.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. It appears that a new proposal by House Republican leaders to avoid a government shutdown has won over some GOP hardliners. Several Republicans who voted against a GOP funding bill on Tuesday reportedly have agreed to support the new plan, which could come to a